welcome to another episode of the Nashville Scoop. I'm Chris McKenna.
I'm Craig Candidge.
And this week we did something a little bit different. We actually went down to the Jack Daniel's Distillery in Lynchburg, Tennessee, and we did a little tour down there.
Got back a few hours ago. It was a pretty good day, really.
Well, I mean, the tour, if that's what you're talking about, was a good day. It rained the entire day, which made things a little bit weird. But yeah, no, the tour itself was great. So first of all, I mean, I've done this before.
My first time.
Yeah, and it was, I think it was about 4 years ago. Me and my wife, Ashley, we came down here with my cousin, Sean, and his wife, Christine. Did like a little bit of a long weekend getaway, and we knew that it was close. We weren't sure how close it was to where we were. We were doing all the touristy stuff in downtown and everything, but we decided to give it a shot, and we drove down there, and we loved it. So I know that when we were trying to come up with some ideas of things to do for this, this came up, and it sounded like you wanted to give it a shot. So
this one's on all the tourist lists. And so my parents, when they were visiting a couple of months ago, they went down and came back with all kinds of stories. So when we were talking about going to look at places, definitely one I wanted to hit, and my wife did as well. So the three of us went down this morning.
Yep.
So me and Chris both live just south of Nashville, just over the Nashville line. I live in Brentwood. He lives in Nolensville. And for us, it was about an hour and 15-minute drive, pretty straight, real easy drive.
It is. Yeah, and not only that, but like we left like early in the morning, not early, but I mean like there could have been traffic, but there really wasn't. So I mean it was a really easy ride, which was nice. So we got down there, and it's a little confusing when you pull up to it. You're trying to find parking. The main parking lot was full. You have to go across the street, but it's cool. They give you a shuttle and everything for people that don't really feel like walking the 200
It's like a 2-minute walk anyway. Yeah,
it was kind of weird that they had a shuttle to bring you literally across the street, but at least it's an option, because I guess, I mean, now thinking about it, there was a lot of older people on the tour with us and everything. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense to have that available. So
absolutely.
So that was good. I mean, they know what they're doing down there. They've been doing this for a while. So
it was smooth.
It was, yeah. So we bought the tickets online. I think they give tours every 15 minutes, starting at 9 o'clock in the morning, going up to 4 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that. So, I mean, plenty of options. I mean, the first thing that I say about the tours, so they do 3 different tours.
3.
The first one is a dry tour, so you could bring kids along and stuff, because I mean everybody I'm sure thinks, hey, we're going down Jack Daniel's Distillery, we're gonna get absolutely hammered afterwards.
I thought we were.
Yeah, it's not like that. So but there is a dry tour, so you just go and you learn the history of the place, and you walk around. They show you how they make everything now. But then at the end, you leave. You go through the shop, and you could buy some stuff, and that's it. You're done. There's 2 other ones where you do have a little bit to drink. One is the Flight of Jack tour or something like that.
And that one's, they're different price points too. So the first one he was talking about, the dry one, is $25. The Flight of Jack is $30.
Yeah, and we did the Angel Share tour. That one's $35.
$35.
And I did that one just because I had done the middle of the road one the first time, so I wanted to try something a little bit different. But what they do is at the end they bring you into one of their tasting rooms. It's actually a cool little setup around the barrels and stuff like that, and so you get to try different types of things, and that's really the difference in the tour. And we'll kind of get into what that is later on, but. So we bought tickets online, went in, you check in, and they're like, all right, let's go this time tour, and away you go.
It's really simple and really organized. They basically, when you get in there, you get your tickets, you've already signed up, you've already paid, you get your tickets. They tell you where the person's going to be when they call out your tour. We had a 11:45 tour, yep. And literally right at 11:45, the woman came out who was our tour guide. She called our tour, and we all got in a room, and what was it, maybe 20 people with us, 15, 20?
Yeah, I think, it was about 24 people. Yeah. So it wasn't bad at all. I mean, it was cool. The tour guide was great.
She was hilarious.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
She was really funny, and it kept everything, going and interesting and things like that. Good stories. She great personality, sense of humor. Kept all the stories very interesting. So that was good. I mean, I don't really want to get into what exactly they tell you on the tour. Like, we're not gonna give you the rundown.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good timeline of the history of the company itself, how it started, exactly how it started, who started it, the history of those people, and the history now of where they ship to, how they make it, that just the whole timeline of it. The majority of the tour is outside, so about 3/4 of it's outside. You actually jump in a bus, you take off, you kind of go around the corner and up a hill, and you start at some of the barrel buildings.
Right. Which was amazing. Like what our tour guide was telling us about these buildings where they house the barrels. Like that's insane. Like, she brought us to a couple of giant like when they go to drop you off, you're right in between two of the barrel houses, and she's like, these are like our small ones. And they housed something absolutely ridiculous, like 2,000 barrels, I think it was.
Yeah, it was like 2,000. The bigger one's 4, and the one bigger than that's 6.
Yeah, it's something.
And they have like 90 buildings.
It might have been 20,000.
That could have been.
I have no idea, but it was just an insane amount of barrels.
You'd
right?
think we had some drinks before we did it.
Yeah, I know. But the thing that's crazy, right, is like we saw how many barrels, or she told us how many barrels were in these giant buildings. And then she was like, oh, by the way, we have 90 of these buildings over 3,000 acres.
Yeah.
And that was just mind blowing. Like to hear it, like probably for everybody like listening right now, it's just like, okay, whatever, it's a bunch of numbers. But like when you see the buildings and you go on the tour and she tells you those numbers, you're just like, that's unreal.
I was floored that she was saying they sell them in 173 different countries.
Yeah, that's
like you would think, like, United States, Canada, some of those places, but 173 countries is big for
Jack's popular.
Yeah,
I guess we found, and you find out
Jasper.
why. Yeah, Jasper, not Jack. His name is Jasper. So a couple interesting, real quick facts about Jasper. Jasper was 5'2" and had the same size foot as my 7-year-old son.
Would you say it was a size 4 men's?
Yeah, size 4 men's. Also, one of my favorite stories that she told was they bring you into this little like a little cottage looking room, right? And I guess that's where somebody used to work and things, and they show you like this old safe that was actually the safe that they had used. And Jasper came into work early one morning, couldn't remember the number, and got mad and kicked the safe. Ended up being his demise, later on down the road, because this was before like penicillin and things like that. She said, kicked it, broke his toe, turned into an infection, and then they kept amputating as the infection spread and spread and spread. The little known fact, I'm sure, is that Jasper was buried amputated up to the hip.
Unbelievable.
All 5'2" of them. They took that 1.5 foot leg right off of them. But yeah, no, and that's like the idea of the tour, right? Is like they give you all these like crazy like history lessons and things that you never knew, So, but yeah, there's some interesting facts.
We got a lot of photos and videos from it too, and the room in the safe that he's talking about are in those videos and photos. So definitely take a look at the the Facebook and YouTube and all our other socials, so you can take a check at those.
We had a professional photographer with us the entire time.
My wife did come. So she's very good with the video and the photographs.
So that was good. So we appreciate that help. So what were some of the other like sort of just interesting things that kind of stood out to you as like while we were on the tour? Like anything like that was really interesting you weren't expecting, or like a good story that you liked or something like that?
I mean, the fact that he was 5'2" and had a size 4 men's, that was definitely weird. The fact that it was he as a child kind of like went to the neighbor's house who was doing this, and that's how he learned how to do it by actually someone who was enslaved at the time.
Right. Yeah.
Whose name was Nearest Green.
Yep. And and he taught him everything starting at 7 years old. Mm-hmm. So he learned very early on, but he got it perfected. So that was good.
I thought another kind of cool fact was the water.
Yeah, where they got all the water
Where
from.
they got the water and why the water, why, only, Kentucky bourbon and Tennessee whiskey, why only they taste the way that they do because of the amount of limestone in the water that they use.
The natural filtration and stuff like that. But bringing that up too, like, brings a really good point is, like, why is it, like, what's the difference between the bourbon and what they call the Tennessee whiskey?
Mm-hmm.
And what they do is they take wood from the area. I think within 90 miles they harvest the wood, and
It's like a white maple.
Yeah, I forget. They use a lot of different kinds of wood for different things. So like they make their own barrels on the grounds. They use the wood for what I'm about to tell everybody is, they burn down a bunch of wood into ash, and then they use that, well, not ash, but charcoal. So they burn it down into charcoal, and that's what makes the difference between, like bourbon and the Tennessee whiskey, is that everything is filtered through the charcoal.
Right.
And what's cool is on the tour, they show you all of this stuff, like right up close and personal. You get right in there. So it was very, very informative, but I mean, it was also really just interesting overall. Like,
very, very interesting. And I thought it was just really neat, how they kind of showed the mash process of how they, go through the process and how they make a single barrel opposed to, when they say it's a blank proof, how they get that proof.
Right.
Also, how a lot of it is actually disappears in the evaporation process.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you're doing a barrel, would they say you get
like 30 to 40% of it will get lost in the evaporation process.
And you get anywhere from 200 to 240 750 milliliter, I think she said.
Yeah,
bottles
out of every
a barrel.
Yeah.
And it varies because of the evaporation.
Yeah. So another interesting thing that was kind of funny is how she was telling us how they use everything, right?
Everything.
So like all the extra mash gets used, and like they sell for basically nothing to farms.
They sell for $1 a ton.
$1 a ton.
So they filter it to get the alcohol and everything out of it, and then they give it to or sell it to pig farmers for $1 a ton for food.
Yeah, so they use everything. What was the one that I thought was funny is, like, I just have to imagine that they just laugh at this one, right? And I said this while we were on the tour, is like they take all of that charcoal that they can't use anymore after they've used it to filter everything. They make it look really nice. They put it into the little briskets, and then they sell it to us as actual charcoal for our grill.
Yeah.
It's like you're just making tons and tons of money off of your garbage.
Yeah, nothing goes unused. They sell the barrels.
Yeah,
I mean, they sell everything that they use to make
every single thing
to make it. Yep.
So again,
pretty impressive, actually.
It is. Yeah. I mean, it's smart. Why wouldn't you do that? So, but yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, I don't want to bore everybody. The tour is what it is. It's awesome. It's definitely something that you should do. And I know I've heard from a bunch of people that we've told that we were going to go and do it. It's like, oh, I've been in town for this long and I've never done it. And it's like, it's so far away, and it's not, it's really not. It's an hour, 15 minutes. And I'll be honest. I mean, it's absolutely worth the drive.
If you're visiting too, and you don't live here, they actually have buses. Like, you can do a tour through them,
right?
Where they'll have a bus that grabs you at a certain place with other people and brings you down.
Mm-hmm.
So
the final wrap up of the tour, for the tour that we did and the other one that I had done in the past, is they do bring you to a tasting room, and they kind of tease you a little bit, because and you'll see pictures of all this stuff and the setup and everything when you look on YouTube or on the social and stuff. But they sit 5 shot glasses, plastic, but shot glasses in front of you. They do not fill 5 shot glasses. They give you a little taste. They give you a taste of
just a taste.
5 different, and it is just a taste. Yeah. So I think that if you added all of them up, I think they end up being 1 shot.
Probably.
So,
yeah.
But the one that we did was like I said, the Angel Share tour, and what they kind of focus on were the single barrels. And again, you go through the tour, or if you just know whiskey in general, you know what single barrel means. But so the ones that we got to try, first she tried out the original number 7, just to give a comparison of everything. They went on to the Sinatra.
That one's 180 proof 80 proof, my bad.
Yeah, that's all right. I know whiskey. You're at 180 proof. That means you're at 90% alcohol, I think it is, right? So that's basically grain. I think that's about what grains
Well,
are,
yeah,
so.
because the one that she gave us today
The strongest one
was 140.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would go up to 140. And she said, like, if you can find a bottle around the sweet spot is 135, I think she said. So the Sinatra Select was another one, which was fantastic. You get that around $200 a bottle, which is unreal. But it was very good. You go the single barrel Select. We got the single barrel proof, and then they ended up with the single barrel rye. But anyway, so those were the kinds of the Jack that we tried on this one. I know on the other one they do like the original number 7, just like we did today. But then they'll give you the Gentleman's Jack. You'll try like the honey one, things like
apple,
that. So
the fire.
Yes, they mix in like 5 different kinds that are sort of like on that level, and then the one that we did today was like she said, we're the classy ones. We were the classy ones today. Because we paid the extra $5 for the tour.
What was your favorite one that we did today?
My favorite one was the single barrel proof. Yeah, I like that one a lot. It was the smoothest one. Didn't burn at all, And I mean, I love whiskey anyway. It's my favorite out of all alcohols. So
Same.
Yeah, so I'm a big whiskey guy anyway. But yeah, so the burn that everybody talks about doesn't bother me. That one was really smooth to me, and then I think she said that the rye was the one that more Scotch drinkers kind of they prefer.
Right.
So
that one definitely had some bite to it.
Yeah, it did.
So single barrel is the one I like too. So if you don't know, the difference between a single barrel and a blend is a blend. What they do is they take all these barrels. They put them in, the way she said it was, into a river of whiskey.
Right.
So essentially they put it all together so that you have the same taste in every bottle. And a single barrel, they only use that in particular bottle.
So they all sort of vary in taste a little bit. And that's to be expected. So,
yep.
But yeah, I mean, that was a really cool thing. Like the tasting room is really cool and everything. So once you're done with that, they shove you out the door and
straight to the gift shop.
Right into the gift shop. So you get to buy some more some whiskey there if you want. And
so fun fact too, Lynchburg is a dry county.
Right.
So when there's
ways that they skirt around it.
Exactly, and that's what they do when they're selling the bottle. They're basically selling you as our tour guide put a decorational bottle.
Right. They're selling you the bottle, and the liquor inside is decoration.
Exactly.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, they know how to get around all the laws and everything. But they didn't have any like gifts like that you would normally see in the gift shop. You actually have to go downtown into Lynchburg, which in order to buy that stuff. But
was that the general store she was
yes.
saying?
Yeah,
and
so
with
you
your
go
ticket,
down.
you get like a free shot glass,
You get a free shot glass if you buy something.
Anything over $10.
And she said everything
starts at $19.99.
So yeah. But I had not gone into downtown the first time, and I'm a little upset because it was actually really cool. The only thing that I didn't like today was it was raining, so we couldn't like actually walk around the whole downtown, but we drove through it. And I thought it was pretty cool downtown.
I thought it was too. I mean, when you look at it, it's like that, Main Street USA. It's just that small town feel.
It was very small because we were also hungry and
starving.
So we drove around, and there's only like 4 places to eat in that little downtown area.
And 2 were closed.
Was it 2 or 3? I think
maybe
it might
3
have been
were closed. We had one option.
So we went to the one option, and it was funny because everybody else in our tour was thinking the exact same thing.
The entire tour was there.
Yeah. But the name of the place that we went to, I'll give you guys a quick food review. It's called the BBQ Caboose. So you walk in, you sit down, very small, but it was a really neat place.
It was.
So had a really good feel to it, but
they had a caboose in there you could sit in, like a train caboose, and then they had train up around the top.
A little model train that I didn't see it moving, but it looked like it probably did at some point. But it was a nice setup. Food, I got a pulled chicken sandwich, and their barbecue sauce there is really good too. I had the sweet barbecue sauce, baked beans, all of it was great.
Mm-hmm. I had the jambalaya stuffed baked potato,
which looked good.
and it was really, really good. And sweet tea.
I was gonna say, if anybody listened to last week's episode, they had real sweet tea. You know what else they had?
Plastic straws.
They did. They had plastic straws. They did have styrofoam cups, but yeah, that's fine.
It's the South.
Yeah. So styrofoam cups and plastic straws, real sweet tea. But the food was great.
Cheap too.
It was. Yeah, it was very well priced and everything. We got in, ate, got out, and that was it. And then you guys stopped at a little candy store too.
There's a little candy store next door, and they actually have like what do they call them? Boozy shakes.
Yeah.
So they have.
I think the people in front of us got one, and as we were leaving, I heard them saying how like great it was. They said
really?
It was, yeah, I could hear them. As we were walking by, they were sitting outside and saying it was amazing.
They had like one section that was all candy that had liquor in it, and then they had the liquor in the shakes. I got what they called better than a Twix, so it was a homemade Twix, and it was better than a Twix.
Okay.
So.
Nice.
But great little downtown area, great little restaurants that we saw down there. They did have other options. Some were closed, but definitely worth the trip. It was fun, and this is one on the tourist list that I would say go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, it's an hour away, but to me, 100%. If you like whiskey at all, and not only that, even if you don't like whiskey, because my wife doesn't really drink. And she had gone on the tour with us when I went the first time. She's not a whiskey drinker, and she absolutely loved the tour. So if you're interested in history and things like that as well, it's also a great tour to do. And it doesn't matter whether you like whiskey or not. The tour guides have always been good. Both times I went, tour guides are great, and they keep it interesting, they keep it fun, and there's a lot of good information. And hour and 15-minute tour.
About an hour and 15, yeah.
You're in, you're out. I mean, total, I think, what was it? You picked me up sometime around like
9:30.
Right before 10, and we were back by 3.
Yeah.
And that was drive time, down, back, tour, and lunch. You know, so 5 hours. 5 hours and great time. So 100% recommend. I have nothing bad to say about the tour, the drive, any of that stuff. It's something that tourists absolutely should do. But also, like, I've talked to people that have lived here for years. And
I've been here years. First time doing it. I never actually really. I've always heard people talk about it, but never had that, like, I have to go do it.
Right.
And I regret that I didn't do it sooner.
Yeah.
Because it was a really fun day.
Yeah, it was a good time. So highly recommend it from me.
Same. Go for it.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think we've taken up enough time on this one. So, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff to talk about. So it was easy. This was an easy one. It was a very enjoyable one to do. I mean, we had to do some tough research sometimes when we do this podcast.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
It was a tough one. We had to drink some whiskey and go to a distillery. So, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
See you next week.
Download our episodes on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram at Nashville Scoop Podcast. I'm at The Nashville Realtor, and Craig is at Real Estate Rockstar.